Vice President of North American Sales. Again, we're here for our second session. Today's session, we're going to kind of highlight some narrow solutions that come out of each and every product line that SignComp offers, the 4 product lines from EconoComp to standard product line that we reviewed last week. As I click onto my slides here, the standard product line that we reviewed last week, getting into some of the architectural, there are so many different products within the SignComp product line that offer narrow solutions, 6-inch or less, but all the way down to wall frames that are 3/4, bleed bodies and frameless bodies that come out of the architectural that are 2 inches, 3¼ inches. With the 30 minutes that we're allotted here, we're just going to hit some of the highlights, some of the focused, most popular profiles that have had an advancement, especially with the signage for LED lighting. Commonly, these are 6 inches or less that you're going to see here today. For multiple substrates, we have plastic, plex, aluminum, flex, as well as fabric applications. We're going to go through just a few highlights, looking more for a Q&A on that, of how, when the LEDs first came onto the market, let's say 10 years ago, how we had to quickly advance, especially the extrusion side of this, to eliminate shadows, especially perimeter shadows with flex faces, and then the hot spots that were occurring as we were bouncing that LED lighting source off of all the internal structure, which is going to lead to how we're going to close. That one of the engineered solutions that we're seeing more and more frequently is when cabinets require double face applications of 24 inches or greater, how can we use these narrow single face cabinets to assist us quickly evaluate cost, keep costs consistent, keep fabrication consistent, and also eliminate, and I mean completely eliminate, the concerns for shadowing. So with that, we'll just kind of jump right into the EconoComp product line. The EconoComp product line is a 2-part body, and it has a retainer that attaches to all 4 sides. Last week, we went through a standard product line, which was a 1-part, 2-part body and movable retainers to slide plastic faces. The EconoComp product line is a mechanically fastened cabinet, self-tapping screws with corner key assembly. It is a lighter weight extrusion, a thinner walled extrusion, which makes it a very economical framing solution for cabinets 32 square feet or less. We can exceed that 32 square feet, especially in single face applications, because we're relying on the structure of the wall. But it is a very economical framing solution for single face cabinets, as well as this 5-inch double face. It is commonly one of the most overlooked thinner, narrower solutions that SignComp offers in a double face. Removable retainers on all 4 sides, front and back, double face application, 1/4-inch opening for your face material. Still has all the inner body framing, still has all the inner body flanges, still has the support rod, sag rod supports internally. It is just a lighter weight extrusion made for smaller cabinetry. It has a double face application at 5-inch, as well as a single face, which is a very popular solution. Very economical application for cabinets. For instance, 32 square feet, a 4x8 cabinet. You can buy the extrusion for a single face cabinet, 4x8 cabinet, for around $120. So it's a very economical, that's why it's in the EconoComp portion of the catalog for single face applications. It's a very specified profile for large programs, as you see here with Jack in the Box. That's all there is to the EconoComp. EconoComp is a very small product line. It offers just a few solutions that are 6 inches or less. As we reviewed last week, the standard product line. There are multiple cabinets in each of these product lines as we advance from standard to architectural and commercial that would facilitate this presentation, but I've just picked a few of the highlighted. We went through this product line last week, but the 2 narrowest, most popular solutions are the 6-inch double face as well as the 6-inch single face. Both of these LED illuminated applications, plastic face, and very commonly we're overlaying the retainer for an aluminum face application. Also in the standard product line, one of our most popular profiles is this flat wall mount retro body. Always with SignComp, we use at least 5 words to describe our extrusions, but in that, it is what it is. It is a flat wall mount. In other words, this small frame attaches directly to your wall. It's a single face application. It gives you a hinge provision where we can attach a SignComp either 2-inch or 1.5-inch retainer. At that point, we can slide in a plastic face, or very commonly, we're overlaying that retainer with an aluminum substrate. Now attaching your channel letters or routing out the face of that aluminum sheet stock and push-through applications. Now being a hingeable provision at a very narrow depth of 3 1/16 inch, we can hide our power supplies inside this cabinet. A very economical solution, what we refer to as a pan sign application. We can make radius faces, flat faces, but the other beauty of this frame, it allows you, if you are not using, as in the lower left-hand corner, the SignComp retainer system, you can take your own sheet stock and make variable depth cabinets by break forming that sheet stock and attaching, as shown in the upper right-hand corner, attaching your own face material, giving you a variable depth, still a hingeable application, still attaching channel letters or routing out your faces. So using your own common stock or using SignComp retainers. Another very popular option is that we accommodated this frame so that our bleed face retro frame for flex face applications also fits this wall mount. This wall mount now would give you a 5 1/16 depth for a flex face application, around 3-inch for a plastic face, around 3 1/16 for aluminum face, or variable depth if you use your own sheet stock. Again, we're focused on narrow applications, commonly single face, and how to light these with LEDs we'll address as we get into the presentation. There are other profiles available, snap frames, attaching snap frames to narrow bodies, giving you different solutions out of the standard product line. There are narrow wall frames that we perimeter light. But again, we're just kind of focused on a few of the different products that come out of several of these product lines that are very popular narrow solutions. The architectural, we're only going to hit on a couple of different profiles. The architectural is where you're going to find most of the SignComp solutions for 2-inch to 4-inch applications. We don't have enough time in this brief presentation to go through all of those post and panel cabinetry that don't always need to be attached to our post and panel system. Those cabinets, commonly we would slide into post and panel, seeing an awful lot of those narrow applications come up with these sneeze guard barrier protection with the recent COVID concerns. But what we're focused on here today in the architectural are 3 1/4 and 4-inch. These are single face or double face and referred to as access bodies. The reason they're referred to as an access body is there are a minimum of 5 different retainer options, cover options, that we can interchange with each of these bodies. So giving you an ultimate depth of 3 1/4, single face or double face, or 4-inch single face or double face. By commonly just switching out these covers, take you from a bleed appearance or a frameless appearance with an aluminum substrate, you bonding your aluminum substrate to that retainer. It also offers you a slide cover for a square retainer or a radius slide cover for a radius appearance. Another very popular retainer system in the architectural are the insert panels. In the lower right-hand corner, you're seeing an insert panel. When we remove the retainer, we can slide those individual panels in and out. Both of those retainer systems, these bodies will accommodate even the insert panel. So all of the architectural covers and frame options, frame, frameless aluminum, plastic face with a radius or framed appearance, as well as the insert, can attach to these single face cabinets. This slide has an awful lot of drawings on it, but it just shows you the 4 different body styles, single face or double face, and all of the different retainer options, and all of those are just interchangeable with these bodies. Routing out the aluminum faces, the drawing that you're, or the photo you're seeing from Penn State football, they're just routing out that face and then showing their Hall of Fame. All of the Nittany Lions that have made it to the NFL. So it's just a display in their locker room. It's a very decorative frame, narrow application. Again, we illuminate these with LEDs. At this stage, before I jump on, are there any questions, Shane, that are coming up on screen?
Yeah, we got a couple. The first one being, is the T-Mobile sign that you showed in the slide earlier, was that produced with these extrusions? Yeah, a couple more back.
It was. What we're doing there is we're taking the 2042 flat mount retro body. So that body is actually mounted directly to the wall. What they're doing to create that radius face is they've routed out a top and a bottom to whatever radius they require. And then they just roll their sheet stock to the top and the bottom that they've created. So all of this is their aluminum sheet stock. We're just routing out a radius for the top, routing out a radius for the bottom, rolling that sheet stock, and now attaching those channel letters, but gives them a hingeable application to that radius face. So what it offers you is a variable depth, variable radiuses, but still a hingeable application. Shane, you're breaking up real bad. Hopefully I'm not.
Oh, okay. Is this better?
Yeah, much better.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. The question is there a structural difference between the Econoline body and the standard body that we used, that we discussed last week?
The obvious structural difference is the wall thickness, and I would have to look both of those up for you, but the EconoComp is just a thinner walled extrusion. Commonly, we recommend that you keep it at 32 square feet or less. It does accommodate the inner body flange, all the structural supports to put steel, sag rods, and mounting flanges internally, but it is for smaller applications. As I say that, I kind of hesitate because it's not so much with a single face, but commonly we're going to put our structure, whether it's the standard product line or the EconoComp product line, 4 foot on center, whether it's a sag rod or an internal support. But it's unlimited to the structure and the size because in a single face application, because most of your structure is coming from the wall supports.
Okay, great. And that kind of leads into the next question. Was there, and I'm assuming this is on the overall size, not necessarily depth-wise, but is there a size restriction on how large the cabinet could be using the narrow profile?
No, there's no limit to size. The extrusions commonly come 24 foot plus 4 inches or 6 inches, depending on the extrusion. All of them, as you're seeing here in this drawing, in the center you see a little bar with a stripe, like a candy cane stripe to that. That is a corner angle. That corner angle is commonly at your miter joint, but we can also put an 1/8 inch structural support and bond that and use that as a splice support. So there really is no limit to the size of the cabinet. But there may have to be splice provisions implemented our design team will assist you with that, because the extrusion is only available 24 feet 2, 24 feet 4, or 24 feet 6, depending on the profile.
Right, okay, and that goes back to last week where we one of the questions was, can I send my drawings to you guys and you guys engineer this using SignComp products? Which I believe the answer to that was yes, absolutely, we can do that.
Well, I'm always cautious with the word engineer, because what we do is make engineered recommendations. The extrusions are all engineered for strength. We know it's section modulus, but as far as the engineering, that always has to be done regionally by an approved source.
Gotcha. I think that may have been just a bad choice of words on my side. Maybe design is the better word.
Yeah, it can be misleading, but well, we certainly walk you through with our 30 years of experience around here. We certainly do know and are the first ones to recommend that I would not use this profile. I would advance to a different profile based on size or wind load.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of all the questions that I have as of right now. So if you want to move on to the next section.
Sure. Like I said, the architectural section that we're in right now, we're just focused on this 3 1/4 and this 4-inch access body. Have become very popular narrow solutions with the age of LEDs. The second half of this gets more into, the commercial product line. These are hingeable applications, certainly variable retainer options from aluminum to plastic, and now incorporating more flex in the commercial product line. This product line also encompasses an awful lot of cut shape applications, and we'll kind of review as we get into this the services that are available from SignComp for layout and design. Again, this product line has an awful lot of offerings, and we're just going to highlight some of the newer and certainly most popular. As the LEDs came to age, what it did was offer SignComp and the industry an opportunity to not just literally think out of the box. Not just rectangulars and miters. We are going in and cutting relief joints into these extrusions and creating from very common circles, very common ovals, very unique shapes. In that, as the LED light source in the old extrusions was causing some perimeter shadowing concerns, we went in and re-engineered, redesigned many of the flex tensioning systems. And the ultimate outcome became this 6-inch flat bleed. In other words, it gives you a bleed appearance. There's no frame around the perimeter. The flex face will bleed right out of our frame. It's a single face application. We refer to it as a tension body because we use the SignComp clip system for flex faces. The internal contoured shape allows for LED lighting to extend right to the edge. There's no obstruction the LED light source to the edge. No matter what color your face, we're going to light this face very evenly, very clearly. The internal structural support you can see in the lower right-hand drawing is all the way to the back of the cabinet. That is simply a 1-inch structural tube that is welded to the frame. You can see in the actual photo that is just a grid that we create based on size, 36 inches on center. You inset your back into the frame. We weld the 1-inch tube to the back of the sign cabinet, and now jumping your LED light source over that 1-inch tube, we have no obstruction of light, LED lighting to the perimeter. The very nice thing about this flex frame is not only that it eliminates any shadowing concerns, is that the painting apparatus for this is that it eliminates a lot of steps. Internally, you can paint the inside of this cabinet a flat white. That'll just assist your lighting. It is not mandatory. What we're looking for is not a lot of reflection to bounce off of that aluminum, as you can see just with the shop lighting. So you can paint the inside of the cabinet white after you assemble it. But the beauty of this frame comes from the steps that we eliminate with the cover, because the 6-inch flat cover is is independent from the frame itself. So in other words, the only exposed portion of this entire frame that needs to be painted is that cover. You can go through the entire fabrication process of building the frame, putting in your LEDs, tensioning the face, and then attaching, when you're all completely assembled, attaching your painted cover to this. So it eliminates an awful lot of steps, an awful lot of labor, really simplifies the fabrication process to build a 6-inch single-face cabinet.
Dave, we do have a question that we need to get answered pretty quick, not pretty quick, but just before we move on. What is there any size limitation for this extrusion without using compression bracing?
No, you will always want to put some, as you see in this slide, in the center, on the lower center, you will see just a grid. So this is a 16-foot circle, and we've just split it in 4 different sections. So you will always want some support. Otherwise, it's just your back holding the structural support. Now, as I say that, if you make a 2x2 square, you're not going to put an internal structural support. But anything 4 foot or larger, you're going to start to optimize that design with an internal structural support. But it's really not a frame brace. It doesn't move. It's welded structurally to the back of the cabinet.
Okay, thank you.
All that does is take out the ability for the cabinet to move. We're more concerned with that structural support in transporting the sign to your job site, and also, as you see in the lower right-hand corner, we make these very large flex face applications with very unique shapes. And so transporting this to your job site or shipping it to the job site, as well as when you install this sign, is where you're going to want that structural support. You don't want that to flex. You don't want the cabinet to move and then start to create concerns for wrinkles in that face. You've tensioned that face. You want the frame to be structurally sound. If the frame is sound, then the flex face won't adjust. But in this drawing, just showing you that the clip system in the lower left-hand corner, commonly where we would put our corner support angles, we can put splicing braces or joiner braces and make very large applications, extending these large curve cut applications to very unique shapes. It is one of our most popular frames currently, especially with unique miter joints, as you see in the A, to very creative shapes throughout the country. We're seeing these in ceiling applications, as well as very large high-rise install applications. The curve cut detail, you would send your drawing to SignComp. SignComp's design team at that point then breaks that drawing down and assists with the proper extrusion and the layout of all the different miter joints that you may have, all the required curve cuts on center. And at that point, we offer you a quote. Once the quote is approved or your project moves forward, SignComp still has one more step. We've done the initial layout for you to get you cost, really perimeter footing of the extrusion and the cuts required. But then at that stage, once the project is approved, we are going to go through that drawing again. We're going to create a back file. So as you see in the Colorado Rockies CR, we're going to create a router file that actually fits the back of the extrusion. Once we create that router file, we will share that with you. But it also assists us now to detail the curve cuts on center so that when you roll the extrusion, you are rolling it to the same shape as your back. It keeps us literally on the same page. That way all the different miter joints come together, all your inside and outside radiuses fit tight to this router file that we've assisted you create. So that service is available from SignComp once your program or project is approved. So we'll get you started right away with your quote, but then it could take us up to a week, depending on the complexity of the shape. As you can see with that Colorado Rocky, there's a little more detail than there is on the hallway feeds. So depending on how many letters and how many cuts, it could take us up to a week to detail those drawings and then have that extrusion ready to process here, either in kits, which SignComp would offer you, or we would offer you the drawing, and you can move forward with lengths of extrusions and have your staff curve cut these shapes. Shane, any questions before I move on?
No, sir, not at the moment. I think we're good.
Okay. Well, that's our 6-inch single face flex application, very commonly creating an awful lot of unique shapes for flex face applications. This is our narrow single face body. This is a narrow body that will now interchange with multiple retainer systems, all of these giving you a hinge application. As you can see in the upper right hand, in the lower drawing, but with an 1.5-inch retainer, we're just under 5 inches. Again, optimal LED lighting, we find from 5 to 6 inches. And all of these retainers with the narrow body will encompass that 5 to 6 inches, with our target being 6-inch for fixed face applications. So interchanging the 1.5-inch rigid retainer and the 2.25 retainer just give you variable depth. We can slide in a plastic face, or very commonly, we're bonding an aluminum face to that 1.5-inch as well as that 2.25 retainer. On the right-hand side is the dual frame. That dual frame either gives you a plastic face application or a framed appearance for a flex face application. In the lower row are very popular bleed application, so giving you a frameless appearance for a flex face. And then we have vandal systems and other retainers that come from the commercial product line. Basically, every commercial retainer will attach to this narrow application. This drawing really just kind of shows you, I don't want to get into detail on assembly. We could spend a whole 30 minutes on that, but all of these bodies and retainers are corner angle, corner key assembly. The body is separate from the retainer. The body consistently, that narrow body goes together exactly the same way, corner key, corner angle, whether it's welded or mechanically fastened. And then your optional retainer, here shown with your bleed retainer. Each retainer will go together a little differently, but commonly they're just corner angles, corner keys to give you that structural hinge application. So again, just showing you, these are the 4 most popular. The 2.25 retainer, whether we're bonding aluminum or a plastic face. 2086 is the most popular bleed tension frame for flex face applications. The 1.5-inch for smaller signage, giving you a smaller perimeter frame when we're looking at single face, double face applications. And then the dual frame giving you a framed appearance for a flex face. You'll notice in each of these, it's hard to point out to you, but only in the dual frame do I show you that there is a frame support and a frame support tube. The body itself, the narrow body, is structurally independent. The hinge application comes from the retainer. The retainer will hinge away from that narrow body. What we put a frame support in there for is for compression strength. That once you open that cabinet with a flex face, very commonly used with flex face applications, the tension that we've pulled in that flex face, getting you that flat appearance. Now, if we hinge that retainer away from its frame, we'll want to compress. So 4 foot on center, 36-inch on center, depending on the design of your cabinet, we're going to slide into it a frame support tube. That frame support now gives you compression strength so that when the cabinet hinges open, it doesn't compress, and it'll now hinge close and actually lock back to its conformed shape. So the only purpose of a frame support tube is to hold that frame square when we hinge it open. What we've done is created different frame support tubes with the age of LEDs that push that frame brace all the way to the back of the cabinet. That is essential that we get the frame bracing to the back of the cabinet so that our LED light source can cross over the front of that frame support, not casting a shadow or a hot spot on that flex face application. So I'm going to kind of jump into 3 slides here that kind of detail some of the things that SignComp's learned as the fluorescent lamps phased out and the LEDs became prevalently popular.
Hey, Dave,
Go ahead.
before you move on to the lighting on it, we did have one more question. Do you pre-drill for the hinge holes for the set screws?
Yes. It really doesn't detail it in the drawings that I'm showing on screen, but if you look in the upper left-hand corner, the 2 1/4 retainer and the narrow body. So there are 2 almost equal size pieces creating that 6-inch depth. In the center, you see a provision where it is a hex-headed screw, and we drill through the top of that retainer and screw that hex-headed screw inside the frame. That frame, that provision there is threaded. So we do drill a pilot hole through the retainer, and then the hinge screw goes through that pilot hole right into the frame. Now the top of the head of that screw locks behind that ball and socket and creates your pivot point for your hinge.
Perfect. Thank you.
Again, there are a lot more details to that, a lot more detailed drawings, and we can get into that with some of the fabrication that we're going to address in other presentations. But yes, you do pilot a hole through the retainer to allow that hinge screw to set into the threaded screw boss on the body. I'll kind of jump into the lighting of this because we have a few more slides I want to get to, but this is just showing you a cabinet. We're looking at the face of a cabinet, and you'll notice that the LED modules that we're showing on screen are evenly spaced. Not only are they evenly spaced, they also go, if you take the center point where your structural support pole would come in and your sag rods leave from your structural support to the left and the right, supporting the corners of that cabinet, the LED modules go from left to right. In other words, the internal structural support, we have the LED module on the left side of the support, we have the LED module on the right side of the internal support. The key to consistent lighting is having a very formulated grid. The light source, and I'm going to jump ahead a slide to kind of show you, we're showing you a degree of angle of your LED module. Now, some of this gets into a lot of detail, and I'm only showing this in 3 little slides, but your LED provider will give you a very detailed layout based on your square footage or size of your cabinet. What is difficult for them to anticipate is what else do you have going on inside that cabinet? Where are your frame braces? Where are your internal supports? On the top drawing, you'll see those 2 angles cross over a little rectangle. That rectangle is depicting a frame brace. What we want is clearance to that frame brace. If I moved either of those angles closer to that frame brace, don't give it the height that's required to clear that frame brace, what will happen is that LED module, that light source, will now intersect with that frame brace and it will want to bounce. If it bounces, that light needs to reflect to the face. If it reflects to the face, you already have a consistent light source there, but now you're taking another light source and bouncing it. So what appears to be a shadow is commonly a hot spot. So although there is no detail that I can give you for every exact cabinet size, we can assist you by knowing if that is a 140-degree viewing angle to your module, that what is the distance between those 2 and where they will intersect. And that's all this drawing is depicting, is that by giving yourself the opportunity for equal spacing, and as you'll see across this cabinet, the closer we get to the edge, we're at 15 and a half, 15 and a half, 15 and a half, because our concerns are our frame bracing and our internal structural support. But as we get closer to the edge, we only have 8 3/4 inches. There is another common mistake, is that if you get that LED light source too close to the edge, that you will create a perimeter shadow. Commonly with fluorescent lamps, if we had forced a light closer to the edge, it would just bounce off, and commonly we would paint the inside of that cabinet a white reflective paint. What SignComp recommends is that if you do paint the inside of that cabinet, that you paint it a white flat paint. What we don't want is that light to rebound more than is anticipated from the LED light source. So the closer you get to the edge or the perimeter of your frame, you can create shadowing, commonly by moving that light source away from the edge. The viewing angle will direct itself right to the edge of the frame and not create a perimeter shadow. So there's still, to this day, it is an art form as to how you're going to put your LEDs into the frame. What we find here at SignComp, and we've worked with multiple different LED manufacturers, is the consistency, certainly with the frame bracing and the internal support, of getting equal distance left to right on either side of those frame supports, and getting a common crossover of that light source is really going to eliminate most of your shadowing concerns. We can assist you with that, and only just from the experience of, as we develop new extrusions, how do we eliminate perimeter shadowing? So don't hesitate to ask questions with SignComp, but commonly we're going to require that you send us drawings, give us internal supports, and that's the only way we can assist you with layout concerns and shadowing. But the consistency is truly the key. If we take that degree of angle and cross it over in the center, commonly we're going to eliminate all of our concerns with sag rods, internal supports, and certainly your structural mounting. I kind of hesitate here because there's so many different questions that should be asked, and it's very difficult to go over that in just a couple of slides here. But certainly, please reach out to us and let us assist you with each different frame. Has a different depth, a different size, a different retainer system, and all of them have different concerns as you're fabricating. But most of it has been eliminated. We have re-engineered most of our frames, especially in the flex face applications, where we're not obstructing the light source anymore. So there are old profiles out there that many customers still refer to. Commonly, you'll get our customer service team will be, did you realize we have a different frame that may assist you with your flex face application? So it's not that we're trying to assist you with your business. It's that there are other frames that do a better job in this day and age. One of the key concerns is double face applications. If we're creating double face signage and all of this internal steel structural support needs to have an LED consistent light source for double face applications, especially when we get 17, 18, 24 and larger depths, that how do we get an LED module to light around that steel structural pole that can be anywhere from 6 inches to 24 inches in diameter? One very recent, we see it more in the last year, that's coming from engineers, is that in these large monument and pylon applications that are referred to as 24 inches or more in depth, we're seeing a lot of applications for this type of tenant signage where we need to have additional depth for double face, really just to accommodate, as shown here, in a 12-inch pipe that's structurally supporting this cabinet, is that internally you're creating your steel structural cage. And as we referred to with that narrow body and all the multiple retainers that we offer from 5-inch to 6-inch, that we're taking your steel structure, and commonly we are just taking 2 single-face cabinets and attaching it to your structure. What it does is gives you a very consistent fabrication, very consistent design. The layout doesn't change from a single face cabinet to matter how deep you're building your double face application. So where we found is a lot of savings is in the labor, in the layout, in the design of this, is that your shop creates your steel structural support based on the size of the pole that's required. All the internal structure is then accommodated by the engineering, and all we're doing is attaching single face cabinets, very commonly 6-inch deep single face cabinets, whether it's aluminum, plastic, or flex face application. Once those are attached structurally to your frame, then we just skin the outside of the cabinet. So here, just showing a 2 1/4, we're showing you your internal cage. Down at the bottom, showing you all the different retainer options. All of those are 6-inch solutions. So the lighting source doesn't change because they're all at a 6-inch depth. Whether it's a framed appearance or a frameless appearance for a flex face, whether we have a plastic face or bonding an aluminum face and routing this out, the single face cabinet is structurally attached to your skeleton, your structural support, housing all of that internal engineered support. No matter how large these applications are, all of these are being accommodated by SignComp will assist you with this detail. We are not addressing the top of this or the bottom of the cabinet, but all of the tenant spacing. These tenant spaces require that the top could be flexed, and then we have to move to an aluminum face, or we subdivide the bottom of this cabinet into changeable tenant panels with plastic faces. Because we have common depths for aluminum face, flex face, and plastic faces, all of this cabinetry can single face be attached to your structural support, giving you very large applications for single face cabinetry. Here, just showing you again, attaching a double face cabinet, double face application using our single face signage. Sliding in our divider system. Sliding in our divider system to subdivide for tenant panels. No matter the configuration or unique design, all of these using your structural support, building your internal structural and attaching single face cabinets. Rigid to flex face applications. So again, just showing you different details of different drawings. Here we're using a 6-inch flex face application. So even though these are 2 unique oval shapes put back to back, internally we're creating an internal structural support and attaching 2 flex face ovals and then skinning that cabinet to create very unique shape, but also very cost-efficient fabrication solutions. So we're seeing more and more of this. SignComp started developing these about 18 months ago. Just a different way to eliminate shadowing, reduce costs, control layout and design, giving you very consistent costs across the board for your project. If your fabricators get comfortable building a single face cabinet, now attaching these to your structure becomes very consistent fabrication processes. Your costs are known. It is very easy to estimate this type of solution. I'm just going to kind of wheel back up just because it's a simple design. That building your steel structure, no matter how large or internal supports that are required, or how simple in a very smaller application, that just taking a structural support and attaching 2 single face cabinets. Anyone have any questions?
Not right now, we don't. We're good.
Well, we've kind of blasted through an awful lot of information. Again, I would like to thank GSG for giving me this opportunity. Seriously, there is so much more information, and really what we're doing here to all the guests that have attended is introducing that there are so many different solutions, options that SignComp can offer you, no matter how large your sign or how unique your shape, from single face to double face applications. But the complexity that we just ran through, there's an awful lot more to this. I'm simplifying it in a slide presentation, so please reach out to the SignComp team. Our designers, our engineers, our tech service team are here to assist you. Sending over your drawings and allowing us to reconnect with you and getting the right profiles or right solutions is really the key to saving, one, your time from your designers to your fabricators, as well as saving the cost by getting you the right profile, not having you spend hours trying to navigate through all the different solutions that SignComp offers. But here, just kind of giving you an overview of multiple different single face applications that we're seeing applied all the way to double face solutions. So again, I'd like to thank you, Shane. Appreciate all your time and effort from you and the GSG staff. Hope you all have a safe and wonderful 4th of July holiday.
Well, thank you, Dave, and we wish the same for you as well. And we do appreciate the time and effort that you've put into this. I know it's been very beneficial to our team. Like I said last week, that's the reason we wanted to reach out to our customers and provide this as well. And I'm hoping that it's been very beneficial to everyone. I'm really excited about next week's because of this new world that we're living in. And
Shane, let me interrupt you. Are we skipping a week next week?
No, we are good. We're next Tuesday as well.
All right, I wanted to throw that out there because I've had a few people ask.
Yeah, no, we originally we talked about skipping this week because it's the 4th, but we're going to go ahead and do it, 4 weeks in a row. So, but so next week with the new norm, sneeze guards being everywhere and sneeze barriers and things of that nature, a more permanent solution through SignComp, a classier look than some of the ones that we're seeing. And I know that at GSG, we've had a lot of our customers reach out to you and for options. So I'm really looking forward to next week as well. So I hope that everybody will be back for next week. You will get a reminder on Monday. I believe it'll be Monday. Get a reminder. Just make sure you save the link that came with your registration or the link that came with the reminder and log in. We'll be here for another great lesson from Dave. I don't have any more questions at this time unless somebody comes up real quick. But since we don't have any questions, I guess we'll call it a day. And like you said, to everyone out there, I hope you guys have a safe and happy 4th of July. And we look forward to seeing you on Tuesday.